Yes, it's John G. Sutton. Tales from the jails. But talk today a little bit about one of the sons of Paul Sykes, who was once known as Britain's hardest prisoner. I suppose it's something to be proud of, isn't it? You know, to be locked up for about 30 years of your adult life, kicked around the cells, slammed into the segregation units, bashed by the staff, assaulted by the inmates, get a notorious name, not for being a tough guy, but for abusing vulnerable younger adults. And by abusing them, I mean buggering them. Yeah, that was Paul Sykes. He also talked a little bit about swimming the Straits of Jehovah. Nobody had ever done it before, according to Paul Sykes. And, of course, he swam across with his pumps round his neck, that's what he said. And when the sharks came, he just punched them in the ear, as you do. Well, and he also made some statements. He said, I hope I'm getting through to my sons. I've thought very hard about what it is to be a father. Yeah. And my dad made some cock-ups. He did. I'm not going to make any cock-ups myself. I'll give him a right adult goodie. You're 17 now, you get a proper man's beating. That kind of stuff, you know. Well, it certainly worked on Michael Sharp, who is one of his children, because Michael Sharp, on the 23rd of January 2008, murdered a man called David Ward, who was an ex-policeman. It appears that one of the friends of David Ward had told Michael Sharp that he kept £20,000 in a safe in his house. And so Michael Sharp, armed with a hammer and a screwdriver and knuckle dusters and all the rest of it, with a couple of his so-called buddies, went into David Ward's house, broke in, tied him up. They strapped him up, his wrists and arms together, and bound him by the ankles and tried to get him to tell them where the key to the safe was. I don't believe that they got it out of him, because before he could actually tell them, Michael Sharp had strangled him to death. And he got himself sentenced to life imprisonment, Michael Sharp. So, I mean, no messing about with a few grievous bodily harms and actual bodily harms and wounding with intent, nothing like that for Michael Sharp. Straight into the deep end, along with the sharks, no doubt, and get himself, I think it was life with a recommendation of a minimum of 27 years. So he's been in a while now. He's been in, 14 years. And he's got quite a long way to go. I mean, it's a sign of it's an achievement, isn't it? The family profession, being a prisoner. He claimed that when he was in Strangeways, that he was assaulted by 16 inmates. Said he was attacked by 16 inmates, and that all he got was a little cut over on his forehead. Well, they seem to like telling stories, big stories, don't they? Mm-hmm. Mind you, Charles Bronson seemed impressed. You know, what's his name? Salvador now. Charles Salvador, who was Charles Bronson. Anyway, he changed his name to Charles Bronson anyway. He's changed it to something else now. But he wrote about Paul Sykes in his book Legends. You've got to admit that's a nice title, isn't it? Legends. What do you think of when you think of a legend, eh? Henry Cooper, Muhammad Ali, yeah? Legends of boxing, or football, Pele, you know, Gaza. I don't know. I'm not a football fan myself, but these are the kind of things that you think of people who are legends, you know? Surely not criminals who have done nothing more than throw the weight around outside and manage to get themselves locked up for 50% of their adult life. And Paul Sykes, legend that he was, drank himself to death in the back streets of Wakefield. There's a documentary, I think it's called Paul Sykes at Large, in which he talks about being in the best country in the world. I'm in it. I know. Look at this house. The council gave me this. Wonderful place. That's what he said. Council didn't give me my house. I've been working for it. Still am. You know? I never did get a free house from the council, no. I got a free tent from the army when I was in the Sahara Desert for 6 months, surrounded by Colonel Gaddafi's revolutionary army shooting over my head. Yeah, got a free tent there. No free council house. Anyway, that's Michael Sharp. A little discussion about Michael Sharp today, who's still serving time in prison. Claims he was a bodybuilder, yeah? Well, a bodybuilder. I can't see where that gets you. You can build the best body in the world. If it's locked up behind 16-foot high walls of Strange Ways prison, it ain't gonna be much good to you, is it? Anyway, that's my little rant for today. Don't forget, 7th of November, Sean Atwood's channel. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you a picture of Michael Sharp, didn't I? I nearly forgot there. I've got his picture here, there we are. Michael Sharp. He's got that intellectual look, don't you think? That kind of mystical look of the philosopher who thinks with his boots. And here we have his father, the proud father, Paul Sykes, yeah, wearing a medal there that somebody's given him. Once known as Britain's hardest prisoner. When I knew him, the first time I met him, he was face down on the floor, and I had a bloody great syringe in my hand, filled with largactil that I inserted into his backside, upper outer quadrant of his right buttock, straight in. He was all right after that. And a couple of days in the padded cell. Anyway, I'm going to read you one of my poems now, you lucky people. I'd better ring the ding-ding-dong, aren't I? There it is, the song dinger. Of course, it's not a song, it's a poem. And this is a poem I wrote. It's about getting old, actually. But at the time I thought 50 was old. It's called 50, you see. And here I am at 73, still going strong. Well, not too strong, by the way. But at least I'm not pushing up the daisies yet, lads. No doubt, when my book comes out, I'm sure that one they'll come and get me. This is 50, yeah, by John G. Sutton. When the police look like youngsters and 10 o'clock is late, when the wine needs extra water, then you know you've met your fate. And the day begins at 5 because you just can't sleep. And the hill you used to run up is now just far too steep. When Sunday is for housework instead of coming round, then you know that Father Time is starting to gain ground. And the younger generation, they're a proper feckless crew. Then you know that you are aged, and the daft old bat, it's you. When the person in your mirror you can hardly recognise, and you know that you'll get old without becoming wise. Then you forgot the location of the parking lot, and the pubs are far too noisy. Then you know you've lost the plot. When sexual relations require an appointment, assisted by application of a certain kind of ointment, when Farmer Giles comes calling every time you take a seat, and you've got to be very careful with the food that you can eat. When you stagger and you shuffle and the walking's not so nifty, then you know that you've arrived at the dreaded age of 50. There you go. 50 by John G. Sutton. Thank you very much. Tales from the Jails.